Hello, everybody. I hope you can hear me and you can see me because I cannot see you. So let's just hope that everything's okay. Kudos to the technical team that is behind that. And yeah, my talk today is called 10 Pitfalls of a Platform Team. So it's more like a cultural one. We won't have any graphs, anything like super deep here. So take a beverage. I have tea with me. Sit laid back, relax, and let's go. Well, first, an obligatory slide about myself. I've been doing things with computers for probably all my life. I've been paid for doing things with computer for more than a decade. And for almost last year, I've been paid for doing things with computers at Preply. You can know me also by GetOps Telegram channel. There's also Substack. There's also like some videos on YouTube and stuff like that. But that's not important today. And what we're going to have today is we're going to look how teams operate in like DevOps, SRE, platform engineering space, and what pitfalls we can be in when we build a team. And here you may ask, like, wait a second, we came here, like you promised platform engineering, we came here for platform engineering, DevOps, nobody needs DevOps these days, like what the hell? Bear with me, because there is a continuation, first of all, and also like these names are like people use them fairly interchangeably, and also some pitfalls are universal. So let's go. First, a disclaimer: all events, all characters, companies are purely fictional. Okay, all the coincidents are coincidental. Sorry for tautology. But now seriously, so companies are made differently. Okay, something that works in big companies won't work in small companies, and vice versa. Therefore, you need always to think what works for you and pick what works for you, right? There's a good principle that is called how it's called something opinions loosely held, right? Strong opinions loosely held, or in the Star Wars universe, it's called like only Sith deals in absolutes. And let's start with DevOps. So DevOps allegedly invented in Ghent, Belgium in 2009, highly like strongly inspired by a talk by Flickr, which is called 10 plus deploys per day at Velocity conference. I think it was 2008 when it was presented, and then it was absolutely astonishing and unknown how a company can do 10, like more than 10 deploys per day. The whole idea of DevOps is that we are breaking silos, we are collaborating together, we are removing this wall between development and operation to move faster and more secure and yada, yada, yada. So to summarize it in one sentence, it would be that DevOps is here to fix everything with the power of love, okay? And if I choose a kind of an illustration for this moment, it would be this. So the core idea is that we all in the same boat, like we all work for the same company. A success of a company means a success of a team, and vice versa. Success of a team makes success of a company. And back in the day when people started building those teams, like starting figuring out what it is, there was the first pitfall that a lot of people kind of jumped into. It was this, like, we were just rebranding sysadmin. So you were working as a sysadmin, and one day your boss comes and say, hey, there's this new thing called DevOps, now you're DevOps. And I do not blame people here because I'm of this origin myself. I used to be a sysadmin, and then I get into this industry. But I also had to learn a lot of things. So how to avoid this? And again, like, you can say, what the hell are you talking about? Like, it's 2025. Like, no one is doing that. Like, no one is transitioning right now. First of all, it's false. Like, there's a lot of old style companies. I mean, I live in Germany. I know that. And the second thing is, it does happen. Not on this scale, but it does happen. For example, a company might want to have a great internal development platform, and they, okay, what do we take? Well, let's take Backstage. Backstage is everywhere now. It's like super cool. The plugins for Backstage are written in TypeScript. So they were like, well, whatever, okay, we have our DevOps team, like SRE team, platform engineering team, whatever. let them write TypeScript. So now all of a sudden you are also a front-end engineer. Or maybe they think, okay, we're gonna hire a front-end engineer who knows TypeScript. Okay, great, that's a good move. But sometimes those engineers then also need to fix old Jenkins pipelines because they're platform engineers now. So it happens. And yeah, how to avoid that? First of all, remember we are all in the same boat. So help each other out. That's it. And do actual changes, not just rebranding. Like if you just tell person, okay, now your title is this, okay, whatever, I don't care. Do changes. And also do not set, again, this is also like a gist of DevOps, do not set contradicting expectations. You shouldn't have one team that sole purpose of that team is to avoid incidents by all means necessary, and another team whose responsibility is to push code as fast as possible by whatever means necessary. There's a big but here. Calibrating expectations are okay. Calibrating expectations basically like linear optimization when you say, okay, I want to go this fast and this secure at the same time. What's the middle ground? That's fine. The next pitfall, and here we can all blame vendors, is like, let's buy DevOps, okay? Happens all over the place, happens today as well. It just like replace DevOps with AI right now, and you will have like some super serverless, cloud-based, AI-driven, whatever tool that will make your life easier, make your deploys safer, code development faster, you name it. And don't get me wrong, a lot of things are great. It's just like they won't fix everything. And yeah, what I mean by that is technology is great, and technology enables us to do multiple things. Git and GitHub enable us to collaborate together. Docker enables us to unify software distribution. CI/CD tools enable us to do like now 10 deploys per day. Again, absolutely astonishing. Like 2009, it was how long time ago. It was absolutely astonishing. Now it's like it's Thursday, right? It's all like AI. AI enables us to write code faster. AI enabled me to write in languages that I didn't know, and it was producing somewhat fine results. But this is what tools are. They are enables. They are not silver bullets. You cannot just buy success, right? You probably can buy DevOps. You cannot buy success. So how to beat it is that you need to choose technology based on your problems and not vice versa. So a good thing that I've done previously, and a lot of people do this, is called RFCs or ADRs, like a request for comments, architectural decision document, things like that, where you outline what you're trying to do and then you choose technology, not vice versa, not like bring in a technology and then try to figure out what to do with that. And also remember, we work in a so-called socio-technical system. What does it mean? It means that if you have old school reluctant teams, it doesn't matter what technology will throw at them. It doesn't matter how many AI assistants, like IDEs, cursors, whatever you have, it will stay the same. So always remember that they're also humans. Shift everything left. This comes with a big asterisk. Shifting left is a very powerful strategy, but it also can be done kind of wrong. And to illustrate that, let's imagine that, okay, we have a developer, right? Like what does developer? Developer does development, obviously. But now we say, okay, now we're in DevOps, remember? So now we have like development, we have operation, we like bring it together, pineapple, apple pen. So, okay, what else? What about security? We need we have to be secure. Like, come on, this is 21st century. There's a lot of threats out there, all that stuff. And what else? Who knows what? And now your developer looks like this. The thing is that, don't get me wrong, it's good to be a generalist. There's even like a good book that is called How Generalists Thrive in Specialist World or something like that. So, like you can search for that. But if your developer spends more time for non-development work, it sounds like there is a waste. and waste is bad for business. Okay, so what can we do for that is remember that specialization are useful. It, like, for the purpose, we have different titles and different roles, and we do different things. It's not because somewhere decided that, okay, now you're gonna be a DevOps engineer and you're gonna be a SRE and you're gonna be like a developer or whatever. No, it's actually useful to solve problems. And instead of trying to push everything on the same person or the same team, you probably better involve people with different backgrounds and different specializations to work on this problem. So you have people who know how infrastructure works. Okay, great. They can develop some modules, some abstractions to make it easier for others to work with that infrastructure, or to provide some guidelines, documentation, whatever. Same with CI/CD, same with security, same with development as well, by the way. Like, you can do it in other way around, and then your developers say, okay, let's say we are Python shop, we are Python developers, our DevOps SRE platform, whatever role, they also write in Python. Let us provide guidance for them. What do they need to do? How do they test code? How do they deploy it? And what's not. Now we came to SRE. So SRE, it's Google time, baby, originated in Google. It's all about SLA, SLO, SLI, and all that great stuff, like how we actually measure things. There was a little bit of a quarrel between like SRE. There was like, what is what, like what's better, what's worse, and so on. Then Google themselves, they issued a video that is called SRE Implements DevOps that kind of put an end to it. By the way, these are clickable links, so I think you will get this presentation afterwards, so you will be able to go through all the links, and also all the links are in the end, like as the references. And if I have to summarize SRE in like one sentence, it would be fix everything with the power of statistics, like on this picture. Okay. So the first problem when people start to do like this, because like with DevOps, you can do, like, a lot of people did this argument that, hey, DevOps is a culture. It's like you cannot have a DevOps team. You need to have a culture. With SRE, it's kind of easier. You can say site reliability engineer, site reliability engineering team. Makes sense. And then they create this team. And what happens is that any problem becomes an SRE problem, right? Your build failed, SRE is here to help you. Your, I don't know, like applications runs, like the service runs slower than expected, you know where to go. Infrastructure, sometimes security as well, sometimes. In my career, I was asked to fix a laptop at some point. So it's all over the place. And one thing to understand here is that, like, reliability is everyone's job. I know we just, like, a minute ago, we talked about pitfalls of shifting left, but if you want to shift something left, let it be reliability. I won't talk a lot here because this can be its own talk, like it can be a talk on its own, but, and I don't have time for that, sorry. But there's a great article here, again, a clickable link. You will get this presentation, or you can just take a screenshot, whatever. It's called 6 Reasons You Don't Need a Necessary Team by Dave O'Connor. He was a VP of engineering at Twilio. And basically there he outlines this this problem that is in this quote, that if your engineering leads do not think about reliability, then you cannot fix it by just assigning a team for that. So again, sometimes to address this problem, people say, okay, fine, like we need to shift our reliability left, we need to like have it within a team. How do we do that? Oh, let's take an SRE, like let's take a site reliability engineer, put it inside a dev team, and then this person will understand how this team works, how to make code more reliable, more secure, robust, yada, 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 and it will work great. And here's another big asterisk. It actually does work for some companies at some scale. The problem comes is that it doesn't scale. So again, another article by Tyler Tritt SRE doesn't scale. It's a short article. One thing to take away from there is that at some point, even Google admitted that it's hard to hire SREs. I know from company I work at, it's hard to hire SREs. And I mean, if Google, a company that has virtually limitless resources, says that it's hard, it must be hard. So you can scale in other ways. We will get to that. But first and foremost, another pitfall of SRE, which I call stonks level objectives. So SLO is one of the cornerstones of SRE in general. And the idea is that, okay, there is an objective of what we want to achieve technically wise, and we need to strive there. And this is our, some people call it North Star and whatnot. Basically an indicator that everything operates good. The problem appears when people just set some number and then just blindly follow it. And I mean, it's good until it's bad, because then something happens, you get red SLO, people start running around, like your manager's mad, like how can we fix it, what should we do, yada yada yada. And yeah, two things here. So one is good old Goodhart laws that when a measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure. And here you can say, but wait a minute, there is objective in a name, so it is a target. It's meant to be a target. But I think when it comes to SLOs, Charity Mayers, I haven't put the quote here, so I should have. But Charity Mayers, she said that nines do not matter if your users are unhappy. And this is ultimately rephrasal of Goodhart law, because yeah, we are here not to have green monitoring, like green numbers and monitoring. We're here not to have nice numbers, a lot of nines, stuff like that. We're here so our customers, our users are happy with the product. If they are not, it doesn't matter that you have 5 nines or 6 nines and whatnot. I also want to share with you this nice book, which is called Implementing Service Level Objectives, which talks about it. And two things to take away from here. So one, the most important, I put it here, that's why, which is called, so it says that SLO is an invitation for discussion, always. Like, you discuss about your objects, like, okay, we put this number, but why do we put this number? Can we actually achieve this number? And so on and so forth. And it is important to talk about SLOs both when everything's running smoothly and everything's good, and when things are not as good. Because also remember, nines are expensive. There's also a great article about that, like with the calculation and like numbers and stuff like that. But basically, by adding nines, you also add cost to your platform. And at this time, when money is not as cheap as it used to be, like for example during Corona time, it's a major concern. Okay, finally, we got to our topic here, which is platform engineering. Okay, and platform engineering is just like it's a try to bring its own together. So DevOps kind of outlined this struggle that, okay, yeah, we have like developers, they have their own objectives, their own problems, their own struggles. Then we have operations with their own stuff. How can we, like, there's a gap there. We need to somehow bring it together, right? SRE culture kind of gave us those tools and those measurements to tell, yeah, this is how you can measure this is how you can measure that, this is an agreement you can have, this is how you do SLOs, this is how you do error budgets, this is what you do when your SLO is red, this is what you do when your SLO is green, things like that. Platform engineering kind of tries to bring it all together. And what it says is that, hey, like, the complexity just grew a lot. So we need to somehow, like, because you cannot eliminate complexity. That's ultimate thing. But you can work around it. And the question is, okay, how do you work around it so people can actually do their job? And the answer is that a way is better than no way. It's better than like randomly, like do things randomly. Therefore, let's build this platform that will provide some way of doing things. And let's say that the standard way might be not ideal, but it works. And now everything is a product, right? So let's apply okay, our platform is our internal product. Let's apply all the things known before for product engineering. Like, let's apply it here as well. So uh, yeah, let's, again, if to summarize it in one sentence, it would be, let's fix everything with the power of standardization. Like on this picture where on top you have your platform, and then yes, of course, there's this library that is not maintained since like early 2000s. Okay, what are the problems with platform engineering? So one, and I repurposed, so this image, I repurposed it from one of my previous talks, but basically we know the stereotype of ivory tower architect. So a person who just sits somewhere like an ivory tower, like draws pretty diagrams and then just pushes it to peasants to implement, right? The problem is that it can also apply to a platform team. So a platform team sits there, like they usually do not sit in a tower. Like again, a lot of people there are former sysadmins. They probably sit somewhere like in a basement, but then they say, hey, this is how this is how you need, this is how you write Terraform, this is how you create a machine, like this is how you deploy your JavaScript application. And what happens when people do not use it? And if you go to Reddit, for example, it's all over the place. There's all over like rants from people who saying, hey, now we need to use like this internal whatever tool, it's awful, I hate it, how can I change the job? And to fix it, again, remember, everything is a product. So we can use things that were known for product people a long time ago. Like, actually go and talk to people. It's that, well, it's not easy. I mean, if you're like me, you probably got into like tech and engineering because you hate talking to people. I have bad news for you. You still need, you still have to, like, you still have to talk to people. The good thing though is that it's a skill and you can train, like all skills can be trained. Like, you can learn how to talk to people effectively. And another thing that is, again, it's already became a like a really overused trope, and like you hear it everywhere, that it's like, yeah, eat your own dog food. Like, you need to use what you build, because then you can see if it's actually good or not. I don't want to use it here. I will, because we have a cat picture here, so let's just call it fit in your own box. If you can fit in your own box, you can be, well, semi-sure that your developers can probably also fit in this box. And speaking of boxes, right? So let's imagine that this box is our platform, and we think, okay, what do we do with this box? And we go to developers and like, oh yeah, it's gonna be cool to do this, it's gonna be cool to do that. And then we go to the drawing board and we're like, yeah, we will provide this experience just like AWS. It's gonna be like platform as a service. We're gonna have an API, and people will like push. I don't know, we will invent a DSL that will push code there, and there'll be like controllers. They will be like event driven, and we will kind of have like an IDP, like internal developer portal, and it will all like tie together. So a picture here depicts a pelican who tries to eat a capybara. I don't know if you saw this video or not. Like, it was like on TikTok, on YouTube, on many platforms. The problem is that the pelican physically cannot eat a capybara just because of its size. It might be the case that you and your company cannot physically replicate AWS, because earlier I mentioned that Google is a company with ultimately infinite resources. Amazon is one of those companies as well. Besides, making this platform as a service experience is not the whole Amazon, but AWS, obviously. This is their core business. Your core business is probably something else. So the thing is that if your core business is to provide like a cloud solution or something, by any means, do all the things. They are great. If you are a marketplace, or you are, I don't know, like you're doing some e-commerce, you're doing some online courses, whatever, please stop. Like, seriously, just figure out like this, and like start with something small. Like, figure out what are the biggest pains of your developers, of your internal customers, address those. Maybe at some point you will get to event driven, like API based platform at some point, but do not start with that. Okay, another pitfall, which is more common for bigger companies, I call it a paperclip department. Let me elaborate what do I mean by that. So as company grew, you cannot have when company grows, like you cannot have one team to rule it all, right? Because you hire more people, and it was established a long time ago that some people call it like a pizza teams, like small teams, like this squads and stuff like that. Like the small teams, they are just more effective. But at the same time, a small team can accomplish just like a small portion of work. So if you expand, like you need more people, you probably need more teams. And again, especially in big companies, what you get is that, okay, now we have like a multitude of teams, like maybe even tens of teams, like inside this like platform engineering department, because it's not a team anymore, and they just do things. There's a team responsible for CI/CD, a team responsible for infrastructure, a team responsible for abstractions, team that manages backstage, team that manages Kubernetes, team that manages databases, you name it. The problem here starts, and again, like it's not bad on its own. The problem is when those teams do not talk and no one knows what's going on. This is what I call a paperclip department, because it ends up in this kind of Kafkaesque situation. How to fix it? Well, again, let's remember that specialization is okay. It's fine. Like it's okay to be a database expert or like a Kubernetes expert or CI/CD expert and whatnot. But let's not forget lessons from DevOps that let's not build those silos. Let's actually like talk to people, figure out where are we going, figure out alignment. And yeah, I put it like a third point here. It probably should have been second. Alignment goes a long way. Like we all need to push in one direction. If we don't do that, then you know what will happen. And inevitably, it requires managerial overhead. Like you need to have people who actually align other people. I know there's like from time to time there are these movements about like, yeah, we don't need managers anymore, like we can figure it out. Depends. If your company is like 30 people, probably you don't need like that many middle managers. If your company is like 30,000 people, that's a different story, right? And last but not least is you need to, again, especially if you're a manager, you need to figure out these implicit relations between the teams. So I have an example. In one of the companies I worked before, we also had like this, again, we had our own terminology for that, but we had a department. Then this department was broken down into like groups, and then those groups are broken down into teams, and you actually worked on one team, right? Like for now, it makes sense. And then at some point, we realized that my team, like the team I was on, was more interacting with a team from other group compared to a team from our group. And as a manager, you need to realize that, and you need to allocate, like you need to do this like shared meetings and shared like alignment sessions when it makes sense. Because sometimes if you look at the org chart, I will just super quickly go back. If you look at the org chart, it can make sense to kind of like group these people together, but it's not always how people interact. And two teams can be on the same, like really close on the org chart, but they can not communicate because they don't have to. And at the same time, two teams can be very wide on this org chart and they can communicate a lot because they need to. So I promised you like a 10 pitfalls. And we had 3 for DevOps, we had 3 for SRE, we had 3 for platform engineering. So I didn't want to really like put something specific in here. I wanted to find something that can kind of wrap it all together. The question is, what could it be? So let's just do a quick repetition of what we learned so far and what pitfalls did we have, and this, overriding sysadmin role, wasting money on shiny things, neglecting focus and specialization, creating everything team, like trying to scale people and not skills within a company, stonk level objective. Man, I really like this name. Then hiding from your customers in your shiny ivory tower, inflating your platform, like trying to be AWS, and pushing sideways, like instead of aligning. So what could possibly bring this all together? And it turned out that the answer was always here, and it's ownership. The thing is that, what is ownership? I want to give you like my own definition. It's by no means, it's like not a book definition. You can have your own, and I would be happy to discuss about that later, maybe in a Q&A session or in Discord. So in my opinion, ownership consists of three things. It's responsibility. This is something given. This is your manager coming to you and saying, hey, now you're responsible for this service. Accountability, which is something external. It means that if something wrong goes with this service, you will be held accountable. So people will come to you and ask, hey, what's wrong? At the same time, if people have just genuine questions about a service, they also will come to you because you are accountable for that. And the third very important thing is control, which is internal, which means that I am, as an owner, I can change this service, I can replace it, I can recreate it whenever, like in whatever way I like. And often this part's lacking, because how many times it happened to you when you inherit some system and then like, man, it's old and it's buggy, I want to get rid of that. What do I do? And then like, let me just replace it, like throw it away. And then management comes and say, no, you cannot throw it away. Like it's important, like we need to keep it, you cannot throw it away. You lack of control there. So with this being said, these are my takeaways from this talk. So first of all, we all make mistakes. Like making mistakes is a part of being human. The problem starts when we ignore those mistakes and do them all like again and again and again. The second thing is that understanding systems is more important, in my opinion, is more important to avoid problems that blame individuals. Because you always can pinpoint that change that broke production. You can always see who pushed that change, at what time, like who approved that, and so on. And it's always easy to say, I know, yeah, blameless culture, yes, all those things. But let's be honest with ourselves. Very often we hear, and like sometimes we also think that, like developers are just bad, like they do not know. Like if only we hired like better people, we're gonna be in a better place. Like all that stuff. Like we are all guilty of thinking this way sometimes, and that's not a problem. Like, there are no. It's not like if you have systems that and like security nets in place, if you have these guardrails in place, then it's much harder to make a mistake, and therefore people can go on. Sometimes they will make mistakes, but because of those guardrails, those mistakes won't lead to horrible consequences. This is what I mean by that. And then again, I come from a place where I strongly believe that there are no people who want to do harm. I mean, there are people who want to do harm on purpose, like in general in the world. Okay, fine. I understand that. What I'm trying to say is that if you work in a company, like it's a normal company, like normal culture, like no pathologies there, like and so on. I don't think that anyone like who's really like works there, they want to do harm for your system or for your business. And I think that people will care if they have this room to breathe, right? Because we all say, okay, developers need to learn operations. Do they have time to do that? Or like, okay, sysadmins need to write code now. Do they have time to learn how to code? Like these things, this is what I'm talking about. The next one is that ownership is an active process. So it's not just like, even though granting ownership of something as you as a manager, or like manager is somebody who gave it to you, this is a part of ownership, but it's not enough. It's just one part. And also, like, yes, ownership is an active process. You need to be accountable, and you need to hold other people accountable for things that they own. Tech is easy, humans are hard, as always. So prioritize humans over technologies. This is literally written in Agile Manifesto. With this being said, I'm done. So long and thanks for all the fish. Also, if you want to be a part of Preply, we're hiring in Kiev, Barcelona, and London. Here's a QR code. Here's a link. Or you can just ping me. That's it. I'm done.
No, you are not done. We are here to discuss more, to continue this topic. Thank
I
you.
mean, with
Thank
the
you.
presentation.
Thank you, Yura, for your time, for your presentation. And just to maybe sum up, what are the most common traps that even experienced platform teams tend to fall into? The most of these 10.
It won't be a very satisfactory answer because, as always, it depends. In my opinion, it most depends on the size of a company. And in my experience, companies of different sizes fall into different traps. Sometimes they fall into multiple traps as the company grows. Like if you are alone enough in the company, you can see it makes like different things. I think now, like bigger company, they tend to do like all this like bureaucracy, like paperclip department stuff. Then like, okay, they assign roles and then people do not talk to each other. Again, in my experience, your mileage may vary. Also, because those big companies, they try to do like this platform of the future, this like everything, like one ring to rule them all, and then they never deliver that because it's just too big. Smaller companies tend to go into this chip and dale team, like when they just take senior people or like hire senior people, and then they say, okay, those, like if you have a problem, go to those folks, and then they just sit in this kind of dungeon and fix things. But it's in my experience, and again, like your may be different.
Okay, yeah, it's a really good example with Chippendale. I like the way of your presentation with full of memes. It's really was too funny and very understandable, I should say. And talking about your personal experience, which of these mistakes have you personally encountered, and what was the biggest lesson you've learned?
Oh man, I was afraid of this question. Okay, like I did anticipate that. Well, maybe not you personally, but someone will ask this. I've been through several actually. I worked in paperclip departments where people were doing their things and they were never talked to each other. Well, I mean, first of all, I am a renamed sysadmin. That's one thing. But in my defense, I need to say that I had to learn like a lot. I had to learn how to code and all that stuff. Uh, I worked on like on this uh, save me teams, with this everything teams. I Yeah, I cannot say what is worse, to be honest. I think it's again, it's where it depends on your experience. And by experience, I don't mean like how many years are you like writing code or how many years are you in the industry and stuff like that. By this, I mean that some people actually like this challenge of like being like doing different things at different time. They love it. They like some people love it when, okay, today I'm fixing a database, tomorrow I write something like Kubernetes controller and Go, day after tomorrow I do some like cloud, like whatever, I'm debugging some something like, but doesn't matter, right? For those people, this everything team actually would be very nice, I must say, because they will be able to work with everything that company provides. Some people are more structured. But then again, for these people, working in the paperclip department is going to be a nightmare. It's going to be an absolute nightmare, absolute horror. But it's also vice versa. There are people who will say, look, I like to take things in moderation. I like to things like, I don't know, like measure twice before I cut. I want to have RFCs. I want to have documents. I want to have UML diagrams like before I do things. And those people will actually be probably fine in like this bureaucratic environment. In everything team, yeah, it's impossible. So I've been through like um, I know there was a disclaimer that it's all fictional, but I would say that I've been through the majority of these pitfalls.
Yeah, thank you for your honest answer. And the last one. If you could give one key piece of advice to platform teams, to DevOps, to avoid these pitfalls, what would it be?
Um, it's probably not so again. Don't get me wrong. Like, unfortunately, magic doesn't exist. Like, there is no silver bullet. There is no magic solution. And the second problem is that, as I said in the beginning, not every company is created equally. Like, different things would work for different people. So but therefore there is no advice. But there is a piece of wisdom, like two pieces of wisdom actually. One is what we already talked about, ownership. That by fostering ownership inside, like in other people as well, you can not eliminate some pitfalls entirely, like not eliminate all of the pitfalls entirely, but probably a lot of them. And the second thing is that you need to understand, especially like in like this platform SRE DevOps teams, that complex, like, you cannot eliminate complexity. It always exists. You need to learn how to embrace it. You need to learn how to navigate it and how to make it easier for others to navigate things that they don't know. So there was another talk by oh my god, I forgot by whom. Anyways, there was another talk on, like, because there can be a talk on complexity itself. It's a huge topic and very interesting topic on how to navigate complexity. But I would say, yeah, these two things: uh, learn how to foster ownership, and not just learn how to, like, do foster ownership in your organization, and learn how to navigate complexity.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time, for presentation. It was really awesome. And thank you for your questions.